All right, so we are here at the Global Sorghum Conference in Montpellier, France, and we're very excited. The Kansas State University College of Agriculture is the lead sponsor for the conference, and I'm here with Dean Ernie Minton. Ernie, talk a little bit about why the College of Ag wanted to make that top sponsorship at this conference.
Well, Stacy, we continue to have deep investments in the college with sorghum and millets, and we have the collaboration that's been going on for some period of time, headed by Sarah Bowser, and also, of course, the international piece with SMIL, the Sorghum Millet Innovation Lab. SMIL is coming to an end soon, and naturally, because sorghum in particular, perhaps millet, perhaps other crops, are going to be very important for Kansas and the world in the coming decades. And so we looked for a way to segue into the next opportunity for K-State, and this global collaboration just felt like a natural for us.
Awesome. So K-State not only has the Center for Sorghum Improvement, as you mentioned with Sarah Sexton Bowser, but now we also have kind of the full formalized global collaboration on sorghum and millet to continue that broad focus.
That's right. These crops require global collaboration because there are few private investments in these crops, and so the agricultural universities across the globe, including the land grant universities, and certainly Kansas State University would be one of those. And as the leading sorghum producing state in the U.S., it's natural for us to lead the way in terms of innovation as well. And so, again, we felt this global conference was a great way to demonstrate to the globe that we're going to be a leader in sorghum, we're going to be a leader in millet, we're going to be a leader, we hope, in other crops, because that leadership is required to continue this global collaboration. And that global collaboration will come back, I'm certain, 2030, 2040, 2050 in western Kansas and other locations in Kansas in which water inputs in particular and other inputs will become so very important to be done in a sustainable way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when we look at, when I started working more on these crops, learning the term orphan crops, as they are many times not the priority investment from the private industry. So it is the job of the land grant and of the research world to continue to support them together.
Absolutely. I think the way we think about it is part of our job as a land grant university is to take risks ahead of our producers and stakeholders and work out those details, collaborate globally, and innovate and move these crops forward. And I predict at some point they will move out of that orphan status and become really mainstream crops in the U.S. As well.
Yeah, and I think it's so much of when with the smell approach to working was really what do the other countries need? With the three lead African countries that started with Ethiopia, Niger, and Senegal, adding in Haiti and adding in Madagascar, it was what do those folks in those countries need? And that was the approach of how do we take the expertise of the universities such as Kansas State. We worked with partners at West Texas and West Texas A&M and Texas A&M, Colorado State, across Purdue. So working with those experts, but to really ensure that what we are doing as SMIL was going to help the folks in those countries.
Absolutely. And, it's interesting that some of those technologies that look very promising, there's talk about the high digestibility sorghum and striga resistance, for example, that are emerging out of that collaboration. It's going to help us all. It's going to help breeders globally. And that's the beauty of working in this public space with collaboration and the ability to share in that those discoveries and that new germplasm as it becomes available to really advance the crops and bring them into locally adapted hybrids.
Absolutely, and I think we saw that with the success that was and a good thing when sorghum producers in Kansas hear the term sugarcane aphid.
Yeah.
It was not a positive, and it was a big scare for what that meant for sorghum production in Kansas in the U.S. And with the abilities to have that open source and that information of what was available globally, with the team within SMIL, and then following it through with taking from the Center for Sorghum Improvement of that iteration, it really showed how that global network also helped the Kansas farmers, and sugarcane aphid isn't their concern today.
Well, that's exactly right. Perfect example of how that global investment has a spill and effect back in the United States. I mean, we get that question often, is it smart to be investing internationally? And there are just lots of good examples and more accumulating where that kind of investment that meets a need internationally comes back and benefits our breeders and then ultimately our producers in the United States.
Absolutely. One of the highlights that we're excited to be here too is some of our young researchers that we worked with that studied at Kansas State University are now back in their countries. And so we are helping build the true next generation of scientists that are working around the world and will then elevate their own country status.
Uh, th- that's exactly right. Capacity building is one of the key features of all of the innovation labs, including, of course, the Sorghum and Millet Innovation Lab. And it's just a continual process where young scientists obtain their graduate degrees, maybe come and do a postdoc with us. They return to their home countries. They develop their skills and expertise, but then that network continues with their major professor or their lab or collaborators they met while they were in the United States. So it's a really great thing. It's a great network, and it's so good to see folks come to the K-State booth and say hi and remind us when they were in Manhattan.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think sometimes while we do great research, sometimes our best products that come out of Kansas State University are the students or the graduates in any level around the world.
That's absolutely it, and that's the land grant mission. That's realized in a way I don't imagine that the founders of the land grant university system imagined it could, but works perfectly, and we all benefit from it.
Absolutely. So we're so excited to have so much purple here in Montpellier, France, and excited that Kansas State University is stressing the importance with the Center for Sorghum Improvement, the Sorghum Mill Innovation Lab, and now the next iteration of secure that Center for Sorghum at Kansas State with the global collaboration.
That's right. That's right. We're excited about this global collaboration and what all it is going to mean in the future. But we're also very, very grateful for everyone who contributed to that 10-year run with SMIL as well.
Absolutely. It set us up for success.
Absolutely, it did.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.